So check out this shit. Look at this. I did this. I wrote this book. Here it is. Right? Can you believe that? I wrote this book. Here it is.
Oh, yeah, okay. So they're gonna, can you do what you do?
Happiness is a verb. It isn't a noun. It isn't something that just sort of drops in our lap and then we get it. It comes to us somehow by just pure chance. It's something that we actively work with and toward.
I think that happiness is a universal topic.
Right.
Everybody wants happiness, even people who don't want happiness find happiness in not having happiness.
Because I believe that you can be intentionally happy. I believe that there are a lot of people who, and I was one of these people, who spent so much time wanting to be happy but not realizing that it's within my grasp, that there were actions I could take to actually create happiness within inside myself.
That every time I come to rehearsal, I feel better leaving than when I came in.
Like, who doesn't need that, you know?
I think that happiness is something that you can do. Happiness is a series of actions that you can take. And once I embraced that in my life, it was one of the most empowering moments. And I would love for audience members to walk away feeling that empowered, to take their happiness into their own hands.
Yeah, and hopefully people that come to see the show will leave having activities that can help them have a happier life. Learning to act in your life towards happiness can really help it, I think.
I hope the audience finds things that they can relate to, things that they can use to enrich their own lives. I hope that they find things, I hope that they can find bits of their own story in the material that shows up on stage. I hope they come away feeling more connected to us, to themselves, to each other.
Full heart living live to me is a bunch of people who want to spread happiness and compassion and teach others how to enrich their own lives. So while we're enriching our own, it's kind of like a process that we're going through together. So
I've learned that happiness is something that we can really take an active role in achieving in our life. It's not just something that happens to a few lucky people.
It was amazing. My cheeks were hurting because we were smiling so much, and it was crazy because I was laughing with this girl that was sitting next to me, and she was just radiating this positive energy. So there was a point where the play asked, what are we grateful for? And I spoke up and said I was grateful for her. And then he told me she was in the book, and she was one of the people that he wrote about, and her name is Gretchen. Her name is Gretchen. So I'm so grateful to have met Gretchen, and this play was amazing, and congrats. That's what I got.
The main concepts are connections with other people, connections with ourselves, and living our passions. And that's that's this moment for me right now, that I'm connecting with me, I'm connecting with you all, and doing something that I'm just so jazzed about. And I hope that we will, as much as possible, live the concepts in the book in our whole process.
I enjoyed the playfulness of it all. Even though some of the subject matter was, heavy, but I just enjoyed the playful quality of the way it all ended up being in treatment of, subject matter that wasn't necessarily all fun and games.
Right.
Yeah.
I hope the audience will come away with an experience. I hope that when they see Full Heart Living Live, they'll have 50 minutes where they forget their cares, where they are moved, where they laugh, where they see themselves, they see new options, they see ideas that work, they see ideas that don't work, and they have the opportunity to make new choices that helps them live a life of meaning and purpose, and that they will be motivated to do that for themselves, but also to live their best life so that they can contribute more to others.
And we're not starting from nothing, right? We're starting from source material.
Yeah.
But it's almost like, think more in terms of like jazz music, where you start with a phrase and then you kind of riff off of that phrase. Your book is the phrase, and we're riffing off of that.
Come on, all you jazz lovers, come and see this show. This is for you. This is like my life's work. I have poured my heart and soul into this, and it's what I believe, it's what I live, it's what I see helps people live better lives. I think that we have the potential to really help people.
Sort of like intro that I would kind of walk everybody through is structured very much like your book, and like the performance ended up being structured, which is first it is internal. It's connecting to your own body. It's getting out of your own head and connecting to your own body, and it's not until the third or fourth viewpoint that we say, okay, now let's open it up to soft focus. Because until you connect with yourself, you have nothing to connect to another person if you're not connected to yourself first.
And maybe one of the heartbeats of how great and close we became was part of the viewpointing, you know?
Oh, I think so.
Yeah, because it was like the breath, you know? It was the breath of the group.
Full heart living, to me, it means getting to live in ways that allow other people to see who you are. It invites other people into those special places that are just you. It means being connected enough to yourself to be able to really be connected to others.
Think of mindfulness as building blocks you use on top of your foundation. Once you start noticing, really noticing what's going on around you, the sky's the limit.
Through mindfulness, you can connect with yourself. And really, that's the first step toward connecting with anything or anyone else.
There are so many ways to connect with yourself once you've incorporated some basic mindfulness practices into your life.
I feel most connected to myself when I'm having a big old belly laugh.
I feel most connected to myself when I'm in community.
Well, I've started to, like you said, more mindfully practice some of the things that we covered in the show.
I feel like this is a topic that can't be talked about too much. The topic of mindfulness, of being true to yourself, of thinking about what it means to live in a way that lets you bring your fullest, most compassionate self into the world. I don't think our society encourages us to think about those things and talk about those things. So I think this is really vital work.
As someone who didn't meditate before the show, it just really put things in perspective. One, like, everyone has these thoughts when they're...
Being tuned in means being fully aware of your surroundings. It's an almost impossible thing to be at 100%, but as we increase our level of engagement with the things around us, suddenly we become happier.
When I'm fully in the here and now, I'm not thinking about, I shouldn't have said that yesterday, or what am I going to say tomorrow? I'm just thinking that I'm here with you and letting that be okay.
Sounds like you're talking about mindfulness.
Ah, mindfulness. I think meditation is one way of cultivating mindfulness.
That bell goes on forever.
I shouldn't have said those things earlier today.
I'm clearly better at this than everyone else.
I hope I got this right.
My nose itches. Is it okay to scratch it?
Okay, now I'm squinting.
I feel like it's almost Monday.
I want ice cream.
It's hot up here.
Don't squint, don't squint, don't squint.
Justin Timberlake is so hot.
Well, that was relaxing.
I thought it was such a simple and true message. It was just really fun and true, just fun.
Yeah, what I got out of it is that these are tools that people can use in their life, and that happy people use these tools to make their life happy.
What I loved about this is how it's something that I think we know is true, but it was so simply put.
One of the things that I really liked were the moments that resonated, that came to life on stage, right? Like when we started talking about simple joys, and like I just told my story and then it became part of the play. Those moments during the workshops, when you saw those moments happen, it was like goosebumpy.
Yeah.
You know, it was like, oh wow, that was magic.
That's right.
That was it,
Yeah.
right there.
When my children were very young, I began collecting tiny vases because those little children would bring me tiny bouquets of flowers. The purple of the violets, accented by the whites of the clovers and the yellow of the dandelions. I loved them.
I loved how there were ways to take simple concepts and work with them, and that as we practice them, they get easier.
The parts that I've enjoyed the most, being an ensemble member of Full Heart Living Live, is just the variety of people, or the uniqueness of each person who's a part of this play. Everyone brings something to the table, and everyone's so special and unique and funny. So that's my favorite part, just getting to know the people I'm working with.
I found that since the show, learning to embrace all of my emotions, even the ones that don't feel so pleasant, helps me to communicate with my loved ones more, because I'm not trying to avoid the sad or the angry. So instead, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna sit down and talk to my mom or my boyfriend about how I'm feeling, and that makes me closer with my loved ones. I feel
The amount of faith that you put in me from the beginning was really a tremendous gift. That's one of my favorite parts of the process. Yeah. Yeah, that was really powerful. And then I think we just created this feedback loop between each other. The more faith you put in me, the more I was like, yes, we can do this. And the more you're like, oh, we're doing it. And I was like, yes, we can do it. So it was just this really beautiful, cyclical thing that we had going. That was really lovely.
And it was kind of like you share, your most personal things. So it's this is really who you are, everything. A lot of times you don't kind of share your baggage to the people that you just meet. So the fact that we were willing to talk about those harder aspects of our lives, I think that opened my eyes.
And another sort of favorite moment in the performance side was the contact improv with Michael. It was just a lot of fun to do, and I love the you know, physical connection and communication in that way. And there's a way of, like, each time we did it, because it was improv, it was tuning into that particular moment and tuning into each other in that particular moment. So there's the process of it, and then there's, you know, discovering someone that I like a lot there, being with Michael in that way, in that moment. It's a delightful thing to do. I would say frustration is in working with material on happiness, and I think you talked about this somewhat in looking at Tom, issues of criticisms of positive psychology being Pollyanna-ish at times, or just about happiness, and some struggle of my own personal struggle of finding the connection between happiness and like more difficult issues. You know, during this process, there's been an intensification of some police violence, racism, and discussions about it are coming more into more popular media discussions, and in my own commitment as an actor to try to do theater that addresses social issues, racism and gender things, that trying to find how this material connects to those deeper issues has been a struggle.
Just implementing the principles and the practices that we're learning here into everyday life, regardless of what's happening. I think it's very easy to forget everything we're, you know, talking about if I don't have the script in my hand. So that's something that I find myself getting frustrated with, you know, and especially, you know, like you said, all of this racially tinged discussion lately is just, you know, it's kind of hard to stay focused, and I think that's the most frustrating aspect of coming from an experience that's so enlightening and makes, everyone said, it makes them feel rejuvenated, and then to be thrown back in the world that this is not what they're focused on, that can be very frustrating.
There's something we still haven't talked about. Pardon my French, but shit happens.
Yeah, life isn't always easy, but when life is hard, does that mean that we can't be happy?
I think bad things still happen to happy people, but happy people have found a way to bounce back.
It's called resilience.
Special ed teacher in middle school, and I was really excited about the possibility of being able to use this to help my students. A lot of my students have had a lot of things to overcome in life, and their disabilities being one of them. And I think this is a good framework to help them to be happy.
And take risks. That's part of our show. It's
Yes.
part of one of the things we talk about is that you have to take risks in order to achieve that happiness sometimes.
You can see this person on a bicycle with their legs out. Over the last few years, I've learned to become less analytical. And so I was so excited when Tom called me. And it's just kind of, I looked at it and I was just kind of like, woo, whatever happens is gonna happen.
I think it's great how when we do these like improvisational and just kind of like experimental exercises, like it can be a little scary, but like I've like learned through this process that you guys aren't gonna judge me, like no matter like what comes out. Like sometimes I'm kind of weird, and I don't think like I trust you guys that like whatever. Like
Yeah, because none of us are weird. Not at all.
Never been.
I just recently, like maybe last night, had a conversation with my sister, and I just told her a lot of things that I haven't been telling her for a long time, and she's like, wow, like, I didn't know that this was all happening, like, you know, and I felt really scared to tell her that. I was really terrified at first, and I'm like, oh gosh, you know, she's my older sister, and there's some pressure not to disappoint her, and I'm like, I don't want to, like, tell you anything that you're not going to be proud of me of. It's just like, well, I mean, I've done a lot of stupid things in my life. We have an 11-year gap between us. Trust me, I've been where you are right now. So, I mean, if you would have just talked to me, I could have told you that happened. Like, oh, okay, like, okay. So now that I know that, I'm not going to feel so stupid when I do something. I'm like, oh, like.
And you wouldn't necessarily have discovered that had
If
you
I'd
not taken the risk.
Through the course of this show, I started to take some more risks. And it was, you know, revealing some feelings I was having for one person that I know, and I've been teetering on that for a long time, and just went ahead and brought up the topic and talked about it, and now there's relief that came from that, because I don't have to worry about it anymore. It was risky for me to bring up topics of privilege and dimensions, and particular attention to bringing up topics of race.
And that, like, are you saying because of the emphasis in the piece on risk, that sort of, you're like, well,
there was
I'm gonna
part of the environment of the show and the topic and theme around risk. That was one risk to take.
That makes me really happy, because that, to me, that's an example of, indeed, accomplishing what we set out to do, that we were living the principles, at least as much as human nature. Some people who believe happier people are just luckier, and the truth is this has been researched, and they appear luckier because they do take more chances. So statistically speaking, it pays off more.
And that's the thing my mom talks about.
Really?
Yeah, she'll be like, you know, statistically, people are not luckier. They just take more risks. And I'm like, I'm glad you listened, Mom. I'm glad. She'll tell like my dad that when he doesn't want to do something. She's like, you know. And I'm like, oh, we got her some ammo.
And the concept that I most resonated with was risk-taking. How do you take happiness requires us to take some risks.
Right.
So that's the one that I'll take away from the evening.
Kaylin, you were one of the last pieces to come into the process, and such a unique piece too, because you weren't part of the performers, right? But it's such a crucial piece, and you came in with such spirit and tenacity, just like, hi, what's your name? You know, and I was like, whoa, this is like a breath of fresh air. Not that we needed the fresh air, you know, it was just like, you were like crucial to the piece. So I just want you to know that was really great.
I think this is weird because stage managers do not stage manage for the recognition or the glory or anything. So like, you know, normally you're just like, thank you in a program and stuff, but you guys have all been very specific about telling me things that I've done well, and I really appreciate that, because then I can take it on to do other things too and be like, oh, this really, you know, people really like that about that, and I can just keep on.
Well, I think it's a testament to the process, right? Because we're very grateful for you. Mm-hmm. And like, we are living the book, right? And that's for being grateful. And because we are full of like appreciation for everything you do, and that's kind of what I feel like this process allows for, is the ability, like, we're gonna recognize the work that you're doing, because it is unlike the work that anybody else is doing without any of the glory,
right?
You know, and it is like
It is hard work, and you did it so graciously.
What are you grateful for in this moment?
In this moment, I'm grateful that my sister could come and that my teacher and my friends are here, so I'm excited. Erica, what are you grateful for in this moment?
In this moment, I am grateful for the friendships that I made through this process. Lynn, in this moment, what are you grateful for?
In this moment, I am grateful for a super supportive family and friends who are here tonight. Michael, what are you grateful for in this moment?
In this moment, I am super grateful for chosen family.
And so like the first 10 minutes I was like, okay, what did I get myself into? Like they're expecting me to be happy and I'm not, and you know, it was just, and it wasn't like anything about the environment or something, it was just like coming from my day. I was like, I'm not happy. But I found myself like the more I came, the happier I was, and that I would always leave a better mood than I came in.
Mm-hmm.
Especially that I like just did not want to do anything, and it's so hard to walk into an environment when you're like hating on everything and everyone's like, we appreciate you, we love you, like come on.
Just want
and
to
it's
go,
just
shut up.
yeah, it's just infectious. It really is. It's hard not to like drink the Kool-Aid, you know what I mean?
In a good way.
In a good way, in a good way. I just realized where that reference came from, and I was like, oh no, I didn't mean like that.
It's so weird how you don't think things can happen until it happens really close to you. Like you just, when you're watching things through the TV or through, you know, Facebook or whatever you're watching it on, it seems so far away. And having that happen so close, I was terrified. I was scared to drive. I was scared to go out late. I'm like, I don't know, am I driving okay? Like I'm just tense, and I'm like, you're not doing anything. You know, you're doing what you're supposed to be doing, you're going where you need to go, you know, but just to have that fear in me, like at all times, that was a just underlying thing that kept happening. Learning to just accept it and live with it and through it at the same time was important. I'm glad I learned that.
How did you?
First, well, it took a lot of repetition, hearing it. I'm glad we had as many practices as we did, because hearing it as many times in practice was really...
In hearing what specifically?
Just the part about people who are happier don't experience less hardship. That probably is the line that... And it wasn't even in... like the show, like the heart of the show. That was the author's notes at the end, right? You know, so that was probably the line that stuck with me the most. Like, oh, just practicing being happy, and also the what are you happy for in this moment? What are you grateful for? That I do that all the time. When I'm pissed off, I'll be like, what are you grateful for in this moment? And I'm like, okay, I'm grateful for, you know, fill in the blank. So yeah, lots of tools have come out of this. Yes. I love it. I love it so much. And I just met some really great people. Like it's not very often that I can say that I meet like genuinely at the heart of hearts great people, and I met some great people doing this. So thankful. In this very moment, I'm thankful that I did Full Heart Living Live and survived to tell about it.
Yes.
I love it.
I definitely feel a heightened sense of awareness of all of the things that we dealt with. Maybe more of a resilience, I feel, than I did before. Just kind of like not being knocked down by someone else's issues or whatever. It's not taking on other people's stuff.
If you're someone who values happiness, values connection, values the things that make life really full, this is one way to do that.
I always, like I said, I always felt invited to just be who I was and contribute what I can contribute, and that who I am is enough.
And that's one thing I really valued about the process was the way in which you and the others brought themselves and showed up, and the adventurous spirit. In
Yeah.
which you did. A lot of just jumping in, which is just delightful. A real joy.
I have to say I've never felt appreciated in a production, and this was like really mind blowing. I mean, like a lot of people will say like thank you or whatever, but I think everyone has come up to me and said, you know, thank you so much or something, and I responded like, oh, like don't worry about it, like it's nothing or whatever, and I just realized that like it's because no one ever says that almost, you know. It's just, so it was a weird kind of like, oh no, I'm not supposed to do it, I'm not doing anything, and then you were like, yeah, you are. And I don't know, it just kind of changed my perception on that.
Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedules to join us in our journey of full heart living life.
Yeah.
I, for one, hope that this material helps you, helps people you love live a life of full meaning and purpose, and that you live the life that you're meant to live.
Great.
I can't say anything better than that.
It wasn't a competition, but
I know, but I just mean like, oh, that's a great one to end on.
That is perfect.
It was
I see
perfect.
the book emblem coming into the
Yeah,
into
totally.
the screen.
Thank you, everybody. This is awesome.
Yes.
I love it. Let's wrap.